Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Never Say Never. Today's topic is domestic violence. Before we get to that, I want to just tell you guys, I apologize for everyone that was looking for last Tuesday's show. I did make a post, but unfortunately some of you didn't get it because I got some messages saying, where do I find the show? Where do I find the show? Well, we are back. We just took a little vacation. We're switching some things up a little bit, and I appreciate your loyalty. It's amazing, and we're doing big things, and I'm glad that I am able to be here and I'm able to help you change your lives and your children's. I had a young lady that called me and said that, you know, with Candy Cook's story, she was going to have her daughter sit down and watch it because her daughter was dealing with the same illness, and she wanted her daughter to know that she can be whoever she wants to be, just like Candy Cook. So Candy, if you're watching, just know you made an impact on someone's life that we know of. That's amazing. So today we have our guest here with us, Amanda, and Amanda is brave enough to tell us her story on her experience that she has dealt with domestic violence. And I think as women dating, we've all, you know, we've dealt with it. I've dealt with it. But today it's not about me. We're going to talk about what you went through, and you're brave enough to come on, and you're brave enough to talk about it.
And I want to say thank you, Sam, for letting me share,
Of course.
my story, and with everybody else who may get a little bit from it, or just may take the whole thing in and run with it. I mean, every story touches every guest differently. Everyone has different trials and tribulations, so hopefully this story will impact somebody else and maybe it'll get them through.
Exactly. And we're here to let you know that if you are dealing with this or you have dealt with this, that you can get out of it, and it's not healthy to stay in it. We as women especially, and men, but women, we think that, oh, I can love him through it. If I love him enough, he'll stop. No, that's not how it works. We're not God. I had someone tell me, Sam, you are not God. You cannot do God's work for him. And I never knew what that meant until it was too late. So you got to let it go. You got to remove yourself from the situation. And now we're going to go ahead and get into Amanda's story so you guys can relate to what she's been through and you can figure out what she did to get out. So Amanda, let me ask you this. Unfortunately, your abuse started at a very, very young age. How old were you?
It did. It started at 17, actually. We were high school sweethearts. You know, everyone thinks, you know, you're going to be with your high school boyfriend forever and it's going to be a fairy tale. Mine was not a fairy tale. I did not get that fairy tale ending. At 17, you know, 4 months into the relationship, it started. And
when you say it started, what started? What happened 4 months later?
4 months later, he actually was the first time he put his hands on me. He punched me in the face and cracked my wisdom tooth in half.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this before I answer before I ask my next question. There is absolutely, positively no excuse for any man or woman to put their hands on each other. None. Zero, zip, nada. If somebody makes you feel that way, you do not need to be around that person. With that being said, I want to ask you, what was the excuse of him hitting you in the face, punching you in the face?
The fact that he was intoxicated at the time, you know, just, I thought that maybe it was the fight that we got into, I thought it was my fault. You know, we all tend to think that it's our fault and we're the problem. What can we do to fix us to make them happy? And it's not like that at all.
You put him before you put yourself.
Exactly.
Been there myself. We do that.
And most women do, because that's a womanly
nature. We're nurturing, we're loving, we're caring. And men, we're not singling you out, because there are some women out there that like to be violent and rowdy and they need help too. Back again to let it go. Let them get their help. You are not God. You can't do it for them.
Exactly.
So why didn't you leave? At that point, you didn't leave because what? You just thought you could love him enough through it? Or you thought you would change?
He came sincerely, you know, it was the first, you know, incident. I'm sorry, I love you, it'll never happen again. Pretty much what most men say that are...
And we love them.
Yeah, and we do.
We love
try to
them
love them. You know, we try to get through it, and then it was the I'm sorry's, I love yous, it'll never happen again, please forgive me. And I did, and we tried to work through it, just back and forth until for years on end.
And this is after being punched in the mouth. You still forgave him.
I still forgave him.
Okay. Well, we know alcohol was a factor, so I do want to touch that for a minute. We sit here, and when we deal with domestic violence, 10 times out of 10, drugs and alcohol are a factor. If you can't handle your alcohol, don't drink. If you can't handle drugs, you shouldn't be doing them anyway. Nobody should be doing drugs. However, we're all human. We're not perfect. Either one of us are not sitting here saying that we're perfect.
No.
We're just saying if you're in a relationship where alcohol and drugs are involved, domestic violence is probably coming short after. I mean, it's almost guaranteed. So you need to remove yourself and you need to get help, both of you, on your own. Because God's the only one that can fix it. I mean, that's the only one. You cannot fix each other. When you're both in a bad situation, you cannot fix each other. It's just not going to work.
You're not strong enough to fix yourself and then fix that other person. You can't be that person's rock if you're not a rock yourself.
Exactly. And ladies, you're not a rock, because right now you're scared. You may be scared to leave.
Confused.
You may have children. The children, you can't, that's their father. This is a family. This is what we're supposed to have. All right, back onto your story. At some point, you had to feel like enough is enough. Like you had to have felt that. Or were you just stuck in that comfort zone?
I was stuck in a comfort zone, honestly. You know, we all get to a point where we have our homes, our jobs, our family, and you get used to an everyday life. Whether screaming and domestic violence is in it, you get used to it. So it was at a point that I just got used to it. You know, it got to a point where things were bad, and then it got to a point where things were great, and then it would go back to bad. A lot of my faults were my children. I have 2 children with this man, and you know, I wanted to keep the family together. You know,
like any woman.
I tried my hardest for my family. You know, the breaking point at certain points, there was 2 breaking points for me. And one was my son actually asked me, "Mommy, why does Daddy hit you and scream and say bad words to you?"
And that's got to be hard, guys. And
From
I
a
know
2-year-old.
you're not the only one that's dealt with it. I'm not the only one that's dealt with something similar to that. There are you women that are out there, if you're dealing with it or you know somebody that's dealing with it, you need to reassure them that it's not healthy and that they need to change. They need to remove themselves from the situation and pray, because that's all we can do is pray for that person. We cannot change another human being. And been there, done that, I lived it, I promise you. There's only one person, one man that can change you, and that is God. That's it.
I mean, and if, you know, you are in this type of situation and you are to the point where you're saying enough's enough, but you know it's the man that brings in the income and the home, you know, give yourself some time, you know, figure it out. Go and reach out to a distant family member or someone you haven't talked to in a while. Let them know what's going on. And because more than likely, they don't know.
You know what made me...
Because you're hiding it. That's what we do.
That's what we hide it, because we love them and we don't want other people to judge them.
And think bad.
And you know what you just made me think of, though? It's not give time. I have on my Facebook, my cover picture is Faith is taking that first step up the stairwell, not knowing what's at the top. You trust in God, you leave, you give your life to God, and I promise you, I'm a living testimony. She's sitting here with confidence today, with her head held high, and she's telling all of you with confidence, after everything she's been through, and she's been through more than what we haven't even got into, the worst part, and she's happy today.
I am very happy today.
I'm happy today. And we still deal with adversity, but guess what? We have faith and we believe in God, and
we've learned how to deal with it different ways.
You do. You learn and you grow. It's a growing experience. It is. It is a growing experience, and you can do it. And I know you're probably sitting there like, whatever. You have rich parents, or you have this, or you have no. I don't.
I don't
have rich parents. I don't have. I didn't go to Harvard. I had a rough life. But God's leading me through, and I have food on my table every day. Every day. Even when I was making all that money, living life the way I wasn't supposed to, and dealing with the abuse, my lights were getting shut off, my phone was shut off, but I had money all the time.
But why was it going?
No, why was it getting shut off? Because we weren't living right. That leads to the comfort zone of the abuse. We were comfortable. We were comfortable doing the drinking and drugs and living an abusive life. We got to step out of that comfort zone. And ladies and men, you can do it too. Okay. Now I want to go on to ask you. You had said something about something happened with your mom when you were at work between your significant other and your mother. Tell us a little bit about that.
I got a call at work from his brother and my cousin. And the frantic call was that apparently I washed his paycheck. And he flipped out and punched my mom in the face and punched a hole in the wall, and the cops were on the way to my house.
Let me ask you this. I don't mean to cut you off. Was drugs a factor?
Oh, yes. Partying all night the night before.
You know how I know this? Drugs is a factor because if I were to wash my paycheck today, I'd be mad at myself. I'd kick myself, but I'd be calling my boss saying, hey, look, I washed my paycheck. I need another one. But if my brain is not functioning correctly because I'm under the influence of a narcotic or an alcohol, guess what? I'm probably going to punch a hole in the wall. I'm probably going to do something that I don't want to do. And that's why I asked you, was drugs a factor? So continue.
Yep, and he actually went to jail for that. My mother felt bad for me, dropped the charges. A couple months later, another incident occurred where he tried to run me over with a car, and he punched my mom again, and he caught 2 more domestic charges, then was put on felony probation. His probation officer told him if he had one more incident of domestic violence, he was going to prison. That still did not wake him up. That still did not wake him up. It got down to a point, the very last year was the worst. He showed up, he ended up quitting his job, being like any other deadbeat drug addict. Drugs were a factor in both of our lives, of course. He showed up at my job wanting money at 1 o'clock in the morning with my 2 children in the car, wanting money to go buy drugs. And I told him no. And his response to me was he reached over, opened my car door, pushed me out of the car, threw me into the street, and ran me over and completely broke my foot into a million pieces.
And I want to get back, and I want to alliterate on a couple things that you said. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just feel that sometimes they're not just a deadbeat drug addict. They're good people, and God put us all here, and He loves us all the same. We're good people that make wrong choices. So I don't want to title anybody as a deadbeat drug addict because they're not. You know,
no, because everybody can change.
Anybody can change, and
it's what you choose
I'm
to do.
living proof of it. You're living proof of it. So it's not that. However, when we are on drugs, what we do, it's just we're being controlled by the devil, and God's just letting us go, because we have the choice as human beings to make that change. And if we decide to stay on drugs, that doesn't mean God doesn't love us. He's just waiting for us until we get tired. He's waiting for us to put that bat down, because we're sitting there hitting ourselves with that bat. So
He's wondering, when are you going to think enough's enough?
He's not, to me, if I've been through an abusive relationship, you've been through an abusive relationship. So if I go and I get into another abusive relationship, I'm not a victim. I'm a participant.
Yep.
I am a willing participant.
Because we knew what was coming.
So ladies, if you're out there and you're going through domestic violence right now, and you're being hit and you're scared and you don't have anywhere to go, there are places to go. There are shelters, and don't ever think, oh, I could never live in a shelter, or oh, I could never do this, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you surrender, give your life to God, and you make that first step and you move on to wherever it is, even if it is a shelter, God is going to give you miracle after miracle after miracle, and then you're going to have your own home, your own stability. You have to love you. And when you start loving you, I'm telling you from experience, the sky is the limits. And just keep dropping to those knees, giving it to God. You feel that your plate is full, give it to God. Amanda, where are you at today? In your life, is there anything else that you want to add to the story, like from the bad?
The bad, I mean, like you said, it's the drugs that make the person bad. He did get clean. He did do 18 months clean, and he was great. Unfortunately, got with somebody else, and now is back down the rabbit hole. Today, I can actually
Where are you today? Well, let's talk about you. Where are you today?
I am I'm a full-time student. I have my children full-time. And I have a remarkable new boyfriend who's been in my life for almost a year now, who loves my children and would never even think he doesn't even raise his voice in an argument. And we're happy. He loves the kids, he loves me, he accepts me and everything that I've been through. He understands sometimes why I am the way I am, when I get frustrated, because when you're in a domestic violence relationship and you move on to a new relationship, you have some of those holdbacks.
That's what I was just about to say. I was just about to say, ladies, if you're out there and you have escaped a domestic violence relationship, it is normal for you in the beginning of the relationship to be scared to open up, or to be scared if you disagree to say, I don't agree with you, and then you just accept something you don't want to accept.
Because
however, you don't have to be like that, because not everyone is going to harm you, and you just have to, it's baby steps. Get into a group, get into a women's domestic violence group, or start going to church, become a part of your church, a member, and they have certain fellowships and certain Bible studies that you can do, that you can express your feelings of what's going on. And like with you had said to me that sometimes in the beginning of the relationship you were scared to voice your opinion, but now you're like, you get up and do the dishes.
Yeah, exactly.
So it gets better as you go, and
it does. There always is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. And you know what? When you do get into a new relationship, you have to give that person the benefit of the doubt, because you can't treat everyone like they're the same. They're not your ex.
I was just about to say that. The reason why so many relationships fail is because one of the other people compare the new person to the last person, and you cannot do that.
Because you
have to give everyone a fair chance from the beginning, and if not, then become a nun. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm trying to make light of the situation. There are good guys out there. You are who you hang around. If you go and meet a guy at a bar, you're going to end up with a drunk. If you go meet a guy at church, you're going to probably end up happily married. So I'm just using those two dramatic examples to let you know, if you hang around the positive people, your life's going to be positive.
You are who you hang out with.
Exactly. She just summed it up for us real quick.
You are who you hang out with. My dad likes to say that.
Yeah,
he
exactly
uses that. If you go bowling with bowlers, you're going to be a bowler. If you're going to use drugs, you're going to be a drug addict. Yeah. If you want to be happy, you're going to be happy. You are what you put yourself into.
And the moral of the story here is, 7 years she dealt with domestic violence. She overcame it. I've had a little bit of experience myself. We're not going to get into that. But women, if you want to talk to me directly, Samantha Never Say Never, I could share my experience with you. Amanda's also. How could they find you if they relate to your story?
Facebook. I'm on Samantha's page, Never Say Never, or you can email me at Maula0217, that's MAULA 0217 at AIM.com. Or like I said, Facebook me. You can contact me anytime, really.
And I also want to let you guys know, it's not just about physical abuse, it's also about mental abuse. Verbal abuse is still abuse. If someone is cursing at you, calling you names, and saying things to you that God wouldn't say to you, then you need them removed from your life and pray for them. You need to have them understand that you're not going to deal with it, because these people, I say they're sick people. And I don't mean like sick like, oh, you're sick. I mean like sick like they need healing. They need prayer and they need to surrender.
It's just like an addiction, honestly.
Yeah, the abuse is like an addiction, and we can't change the people. We cannot do it. We can, as human beings, the only person we are responsible for is us. So today's topic, domestic violence. Samantha Never Say Never. You know how to reach me. Samantha Say Never, Never Say Never on Facebook. You can get me Samantha1608@gmail.com. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you again next Tuesday for episode 7 of Never Say Never.